Hi and welcome to episode 152 of the Photography Explained podcast. I'm your host Rick, and in each episode I will try to explain one photographic thing to you in plain English in less than 27 minutes-ish without the irrelevant details. What I tell you is based on my lifetime of photographic experience and not Google. Nope, no Google required in this episode. Okay, first here is the answer a bit. Take one photo. Yeah, take one photo. When you're looking at something you want to photograph, take one photo. Do not take loads of photos from different angles and viewpoints. Do not take hundreds of photos and try to find the good one when you get back home. Stop, think, look around and take the best one photo that you can, and then move on. Blimey, that sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? Well, let me explain in the talky bit. But before I do that, I just want to go back to what I said in episode 151 where I introduced my one photo rule. Right, shoot me down here, but this is how I work. If I'm working for a client and they need 30 photos, I will try to take just 30 photos. It never happens, I'm not that good. But I do not do what I used to do. Try saying that when you're struggling. And if I'm photographing a sunrise, well, guess what? Yep, I am only after one photo. Do you know what? I'm going to do a whole episode on my one photo rule, and here it is now. Well, why not? And I've decided that this will be the next episode, as you already know. I'm not saying to go out and only take one photo and then call it a day. No, but I am saying try to get one photo that is the best photo that you can of something. Don't take hundreds of photos and try to find a good one on your computer. Put all your efforts into getting one photo that is the best that you can do. Sorry, I'll come on to this in another episode. Shut up, Rick. Okay, that was the last episode, and here I am now talking about my one photo rule. This is one of my many simple tips that will help you and me take better photos. So, what is my one photo rule exactly, Rick? Well, it doesn't mean only ever taking one photo. No, that'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it? It means this. When you're taking a photo, spend the time and effort on just taking one photo of something. One photo that is the best photo that you can take. Spend time arranging the different elements in a photo. Spend time trying to get the best photo that you can. Yep, it's all about getting that one excellent photo. Well, where's this come from? Why am I talking about this now? Well, this has come from my own experiences, as most things that I talk about in my podcast are. And to tell you what those experiences were, I need to go back in time to what I used to do. Okay, let's start by using me as an example, and I'm photographing a building for a client. It's the best way I can frame things by telling you what I do. So I'd take a photo that looked okay, and then I'd move to the left a bit, and I'd take another photo. Then I'd move to the right a bit and I'd take another photo. Then I'd try one from higher, one from lower. Oh, hang on, I'm not sure if the first photo was okay, so, well, I'll take another photo just in case. And maybe that one to the right could have been the best one, so I'll take another one of that. Oh no, I could go back a bit now and get a bit more in, that might be better. And now I've done that, how about moving to the left a bit? Well, I've gone back left a bit, so why not go right a bit? And now let's go forward a bit, let's get in closer. Now, oh, hang on, was the first shot okay? Should I take another one? Now, which was the best shot? Oh, it's okay. I'll have a look when I get back to my office. I'll have a look in Lightroom. Oh, another thought. I've taken some photos with a wide-angle lens. Well, how would they look with a telephoto lens? Now, a 17mm lens gives one result, so what about a 200mm lens? And if I tried a small aperture, why don't I try a wider aperture? Well, I could go on, couldn't I? So... This is the kind of thought process I went through. God, no wonder I was a nervous wreck on shoots. I had all this stuff going on, and it's a complete lack of confidence in my ability. And this was my position. It's okay, I'll sort this out in Lightroom when I get back home. I'll find the great photos in there somewhere. I mean, they've got to be in there somewhere after all, haven't they? Because I've taken so many photos. Yeah, that's what I used to do. And this is how I used to work. Now, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, and I'm not saying that I did that for every photo, but it's a representation of how I worked. And my question to you, dear listener, is this. Does this sound at all familiar to you? I mean, it brings back not quite nightmares, but not far from it for me. So I'd take, say, 10 photos of each composition, 10 photos of the main subject, and then I'd get back and I'd sort them in Lightroom. And I'd even change the camera settings just to make sure I had the right exposure in there somewhere as well. I'd forgotten about that. That was an afterthought I added to my script. And if I think about it now, it must have taken me so long to take all these photos, so much time wasted. And obviously these days, it's so easy to do this with digital cameras, isn't it? And what this did was a thing in Lightroom which I began to hate doing. And it's called sorting photos in Lightroom. I'd have to spend a good hour or two just sorting out the images that I needed to edit. Not editing the images, finding the ones in there that I needed to edit. It's not an easy thing to do, to choose between 10 photos of pretty much the same thing. Might sound easy, but it really isn't, and especially not if you didn't know what you were doing, which looking back, I didn't. So yeah, I'd spent ages narrowing down those 10 photos, and many a time I couldn't decide, so I'd end up with 2 or 3 images to edit, and I'd just keep the problem going on, because I just couldn't decide which one was the best to use. Well, how would I anyway if they're all so similar? And that was the problem. So does this really matter? Yes, it does matter. I was wasting loads of time, and I was also using up loads of hard drive space too, and I probably still am clogging up my hard drive with a load of old rubbish that I haven't deleted yet. Imagine if I had to produce, say, 30 photos of a building for a client, and I take 10 photos of each view, of each composition, of each shot from the list. That's 300 photos to import and sort through. 300 photos clogging up my hard drive because I didn't have the confidence to delete the rubbish that I didn't need. I didn't have the confidence to just take the one photo. And thinking about it, when I started, I was shooting in RAW and JPEG, so for my 30 photos, I'd have 300 plus another 300 JPEGs all sat next to each other. No wonder I got in such a mess. And the direct result of this is I'm at least doubling my editing time, which for commercial work, it's just lost money. Time is money, so it's lost money. And for my personal work, it's just wasting my time. And it's frustrating, and it's stopping me from progressing, stopping me from improving. So there's no positives to this. And as I was writing this, I remembered something. 80 to 90% of the time, I was using the first photo that I took. I noticed a pattern emerging some time ago because I was doing this a lot of the time. I was doing a lot of similar work, and I was working in this similar way every time. So I'd import my far too many photos into Lightroom, file them and sort them like a good boy, and most of the time use the first photo that I took. So those other photos, I just didn't need them. So every time I was taking 10 photos, I was using probably the first one. Now, not always 10 photos, but more than one. It could have been 3, 5, 7, 10... 15? Well, I hope not. I'm just trying to make the point. I'll get on to the point, but I was taking more photos than I should do. And there's an irony in this, isn't there? Well, my instinct was right. That first photo that I took, that was the one that I used. So why did I take all those other photos? Well, it must have been a lack of confidence and a lack of experience, and I didn't write this down, but I'm going to say it now, and a basic lack of ability. And this is all fine. This is all part of the learning process. But by me sharing this with you, I'm hoping that I'm helping you to stop doing this and to save you time and to get you through this phase much more quickly than I did. Yeah, how many years was I doing this for? I dread to think. Now I think about it, I'm going to go back into Lightroom and go back to, I think I know roughly the years that I was working like this. And let's have a look and see how many photos I can delete that I do not need and never will need. Right, sorry, a bit quick digression there. But on the positive side, this was my first step in my realising something wasn't right. And most of the time, you have to do things to learn how you should do them properly. You have to do things badly to find the way to do them well. I think that makes sense. So what do I do now? Well, I'll stick with the photographing a building for a client thing. The brief was 30 photos, yeah? And I was taking, say, 10 photos per shot needed. That's 300 photos. Now, I'll try to take 30 photos and no more. No, this hasn't happened yet. I'm not that good. I only wish I was. But rather than taking 200 to 300 photos, I will now more likely take 30 to 50 photos. And that's a massive improvement. So, no, thankfully I'm a long way from what I used to do, which is a distant, if, well, not so dim memory. Quite a bitter memory between you and me. When I think about it now, I'm looking back thinking, what were you thinking? Did you really think that's what you should be doing? But Like I say, I think it's just part of learning, isn't it? It's all fine. No one got harmed. I've just got several thousand rubbish photos I need to delete. So how do I do this? Well, this is dead simple. All that stuff that I was doing when I was taking photos, the very similar photos of the same thing, see all those different views, left, right, forwards, back, high, low, up, down, in, out, shake it all about. I do all that moving around before I take the photo, and it really is that simple. See, I take the time and the effort to work out what the best composition is, and then I will take one carefully composed, correctly exposed photo. I mean, that's the theory, just the one photo. Sometimes I will take more than one, like I say, but many times I will just take one photo and I know I've got it nailed and I'm happy. I guess I'm fortunate that I've done this so many times now. I've got the confidence to do this because I've practiced this a lot and I've refined my image capture techniques to within an inch of the life, and I'm photographing similar things all the time. So, yep, I can do this. I can take that one photo, that one well thought out, well exposed, technically correct photo, and then move on to the next thing. And that's it really, my one photo rule. Since the dawn of the digital age, the ability to take unlimited photos at no extra expense has not necessarily been a good thing in my opinion. And I'm not saying that digital photography is bad, it's just the ability to take unlimited photos pretty much. There's a price to pay for that luxury, isn't there? And this is it. So let's get back to thinking about the photos that we take, thinking about getting that one photo. If we go back in time, not that long if you think about it, back in the film days, we worked in a completely different way from how we do today. We didn't have that luxury. We had a film with 24 or 36 exposures on it typically. And I know you could put another film in, but every photo you took, there's a direct cost of the processing and the printing, so we're a lot more careful back in them days. And no, I'm not harking back to the good old days of film photography and wishing for them. Not at all. Okay, so I think I better move on before I get into some trouble there. Actually, I got some news about film photography, which will start getting added in. I won't spoil that one just yet. But there are a few other things I want to share with you, okay? Firstly, this really works. It really does work. See, since I've done this, I've never missed a shot, and I've never had to go back to a location to take a photo that I missed. I've spent the time getting the photo that I need, and that has benefited me massively. And with all those other shoots where I took loads of photos, again, I've never gone back and used one of the photos that I didn't choose to edit the first time round. I've never done that. I've never needed to. So I actually did do this. I started to delete all the photos that I don't need from a Lightroom catalogue. I didn't get far with it because I got distracted onto something more pressing and urgent, but it's a job I need to get back to. Now, it did take me a while to get the confidence to do this, but yeah, it made me feel so much better and massively reduced the load on my hard drive, which is obviously going to help me going forwards. And it also made my work easier and more enjoyable. The benefits are many, and I'll come on to a few more of those in a minute. But rather than just talking about me taking photographs of a building for a client, let's take a different situation, a sunrise. So let's apply my one photo rule to photographing a sunrise. Well, how I do it anyway. When I go on holiday, I love to photograph the sunrise. I love to get up super early and capture the start of a new day. I really love doing this. It's my holiday treat to myself. And I love landscape photography. I might talk all the time about photographing buildings, but landscape photography, that's my personal work. I enjoy doing that, and sunrises is one of my favourite things. And this is what I used to do. See, I must stop saying see at the beginning of a sentence because I don't write it. And I don't say it when I'm not recording a podcast episode, so I don't know why I say it. Let's try again. I will get myself set up and take a load of photos from different positions before the sun rose. I will get myself set up and take a load of photos from different positions before the sun rose. And then I would try to get the sun popping up over the horizon and then move somewhere else and get another photo. That doesn't make sense, does it? Let's try that again. I will get up and go out and I'd take a load of photos from different positions well before the sun rose. And then I'd try to get the sun popping up over the horizon and then move quickly somewhere else and get another photo of the sun having just popped over the horizon. And I'd just keep on going and going and going, frantically taking loads of photos, capturing everything I could do. And What did I end up with? Well, I think you can probably guess, can't you? A load of rubbish. And it was hard work as well. But my logic was this: I've got loads of great photos, right? I can get home, import all those amazing photos into Lightroom even, and churn out an endless number of great sunrise photos, right? Wrong. It was the same as before. I had a load of photos to go through and had to spend far too much time sorting stuff, comparing, analysing, rating, flagging, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'd spend a load of time trying to find one photo to edit. And this is where I learned to hate my landscape images for a while too. I spent so much time going through them and then trying to find a decent photo. Basically, I was sick of the sight of my photos. Yeah, there's many implications of this, and if you're sat there agreeing with anything that I said, if you're going through the same thing, hopefully you'll appreciate what I'm telling you. But there was a point in all of that, that little lot which I just said. I said I would spend a lot of time trying to find one photo to edit. Now, hang on a minute. I spend a lot of time trying to find one photo to edit. Yep, this is what I did. See, I'd spend I said see again, didn't I? Yep, this is what I did. I would spend ages and find one photo that I wanted to edit. Once I'd edited the photo, I'd leave the rest there for another time. And you guessed it, that other time it never came. I never went back. See, I've got quite low requirements from my photography. I only want one photo of a sunrise, and I've only ever wanted one photo of a sunrise, so why do I take several hundred? It turns out I was already practicing the one photo rule, just in the wrong way, and I didn't know it at the time. So this is what I do now. The happy days, the happy time, and I'm looking forward to my next trip abroad where I can do exactly this. I set up my camera for the one composition that I want. I set the camera up how I want it: aperture, shutter speed, ISO, focus point, focal length. Sometimes I even go as far as to gaffer tape my lens in place so it doesn't, the zoom doesn't change or the focus doesn't change. And there's a reason for that. It's because my camera's not moving, because I've got my composition. I'm not touching it again. So I compose the photo, I arrange the key elements and the points of interest, I choose the appropriate focal point, I focus, all that good stuff, I get the composition how I want it. And I've spoken about this before, haven't I? And I also use the rule of thirds grid to help me get the composition that I want. Top tip here: if you use the rule of thirds grid and put the horizon on the upper or lower line, it stops you cutting your photo in half. It's one of the quickest ways to improve photographs doing that. My go-to rule is the rule of thirds. Oh, another tricky sentence. That wasn't very well written, was it? And let's not forget, my camera, it's on a tripod and it's normally eye level to give a natural looking photo, a photo similar to how we see things with our own eyes. So that's what I'm doing, and I know what I'm taking a photograph of, and this is all the preparation to take that one photo. And because I'm only trying to get one photo, I can take my time. I don't need to try and get 20 different shots of a similar thing. I'm only after one photo. I sort out the main point of interest in the photo, think about the photo I'm taking, I compose using the viewfinder, LCD screen, and also just my eyes and moving around. And that's me done. I mean, a quick digression here. I look at what I'm photographing with my eyes because other people are going to look at my photo with their own eyes, with their human eyes. So it needs to look right and natural, doesn't it? Well, that's how I work anyway. I need to have the most important elements of the composition in the right place and make sure the composition has a sense of depth and scale. These are all the things that I go through before I take that one photo. And the reason I've told you about all those things that I go through before I take that one photo is I can't possibly do that if I'm here, there and everywhere taking 20 photos in 2 minutes, can I? All I can do is point my camera at stuff and just take photos without too much thought. Right, sorry, I could go on about this forever. Back to the taking of the sunrise photo. I'm all ready. Everything's set up. I'm ready to get my one photo. So what do I do next? Sit back, relax and watch the sunrise. Yep, this is a great way to take photos for me. There's no moving around, no trying to get the next great composition, just me relaxing and taking photos and watching the sunrise happen. Now, I know I said photos then, because yes, I do take more than one photo, but this is a good idea to do as the light's changing before, during and after the sunrise. I might not always want that one photo, where the sun's just popping up over the horizon or it's just breaking free from the horizon. I might want a different part of the sunrise. I might want a different time of the sunrise thing happening. Sorry, there should be a better way of putting that, but I can't think of it. I want the best light because I'm greedy and I've taken the time and effort to get out there. But I am still after one photo. It's one composition, one new image to edit and share with the world. And let's not forget, better compositions equals better photos. Fact. And as I'm on holiday, I have the luxury of being in the same place for more than one day, which means I can find a location the day before and work out where the sun will rise and find the best place to take the photo from. This makes the whole process even better because I don't even have to worry about what I'm photographing when I get there that morning, because it's not easy to find a location to photograph the sunrise if you don't know the terrain, the landscape and how everything aligns. So that's it really. Sit down, relax, take a load of photos. Not a load, no, I shouldn't have said that. Sit back, relax, take a few photos as the light changes. Right, I got out of that one, I think. Is this one of the rules of photography? Well, not really. I don't think it is anyway, but it should be, shouldn't it? It's a great rule. I mean, these are some of the established rules of photography that, well, I'm assuming we all know and love. Rule of thirds. Horizontal lines, leading lines, vertical lines, negative space, intersection points, golden spiral, golden ratio, Fibonacci sequence. And now the one photo rule. Yep, see what I did there? Snuck it in at the end, under the rules of photography. So, learn all these other rules of photography, then learn how to break them. Need to say that. These rules of composition, they can help you to take a great photo, but whenever you're doing, whatever you're using, use my one photo rule as well. Just use it and just try it and have a go, see how you get on with it. It's a very simple way to take better photos. And yes, my one photo rule is now officially a thing. There you go. Just because I said so. Right then, so how can you apply this to what you do? Well, try to get one photo of whatever it is that you're photographing. If you're taking loads of photos of the same thing and finding the best photo later, like I did, you definitely need to do this. I've said this before. With digital photography, it's probably too easy to do, isn't it? You don't have to restrict yourself to taking one photo, of course you don't, but spend the time, effort and care on thinking about what you're taking a photo of. I'm going to try this sentence again because this is the 5th time. Let's try again, nice and slow. I don't know how you approach your photography, but just think about how this might help you in the future if you know that you only need to get one photo. That was fine, wasn't it? I'm not sure why I was struggling with that. Just thinking this way helped me to enjoy my photography more and to take better photos. And this is what photography should be all about, enjoying taking better photos. And yes, this is really what I do. Okay, talk a bit over. What if I use a phone and not a camera? Well, all of this applies, of course it does. I know that there is a temptation to take loads of photos with a phone as it's so easy. Easier than with a camera, of course. But do you ever look beyond the first one? I mean, I still take more than one photo with my phone, but if the first one's okay, I don't look at the others too closely. So the same applies to taking photos with a phone, doesn't it? Mobile devices, phones, anything else, they're just tools that we can use to take photos. But why not think before you take that photo to share on social media or with whoever you want to? Why not make it the best that you can? Whatever you're taking a photo with, think before you take the photo. Spend a little bit of time and get the best photo you can. You'll thank me for it, honest. What if I just want to take loads of photos? I've thrown that one in there because I'm expecting I'm going to get asked this. That's fine, of course it is. That's entirely up to you. Take as many photos as you want if that makes you happy. If you don't want the constraint of trying to just get one photo, you carry on. It's absolutely fine. But what I'm trying to tell you here, though, is that if you're going out taking loads of photos and finding the best ones later, there really is a better way. And if you're getting frustrated and you're not sure which photo to edit, doing this might help you. It might move your photography in the right direction. And if that's the case, I'm pretty sure it will help you with your photos. And it'll get you looking at your photos and studying them as well too. So the more we think about what we're taking photographs of, the better. And like I've said a number of times, it worked for me and I've never looked back. So why not, at the very least, just give it a try yourself? What do? Well, I think we know this, don't we? But I do enjoy my photography more. I take much fewer photos and I spend even less time sorting through a load of average photos trying to find something to edit. Nope, I don't do that anymore. And as I'm taking many of my photos for commercial purposes, this makes smart business sense too. For me, extra photos equals extra cost, and I don't want that. Who does? I take fewer photos, and the photos that I create now are better than the ones that I used to take. And I'll say this again, professional photographers take the time to get everything right in camera. Some thoughts from the last episode. Well, the last episode was how to take the best photos that you can every time. I mean, these two episodes are completely related, aren't they? And I'm definitely in a taking better photos phase, aren't I? I mean, all I want to say about the last episode is that we photographers, we should all put our efforts into taking the best photos that we can. And with thought, time and care, we can all do this. Right, okay, I think I'm done here. Next episode, well, what is exposure in photography? A beginner's guide. Yeah, I'm moving on now from taking better photos to I'm going to get into some nuts and bolts photography stuff, or as my script says, nuts and blots photography stuff. Nuts and blots. I've talked about the taking photos side of taking photos, and now I want to get into the how we do this stuff, and I'm starting with my old friend exposure. Now, I've tried covering this before, you might know this, but that was in less than 10 minutes-ish, some time ago. So I'm actually excited to be able to do this with, well, as much time as I need. I don't mean less than 27 minutes-ish, by the way, it's just how it ended up. And now some stuff for you to do. First off, if you've got a photography question you want me to answer in plain English, in less than 27 minutes-ish, but still without the relevant details, just head over to photographyexplainedpodcast.com/start, where you can find out what to do. Or you can just say hi. Be lovely to hear from you either way. And a favour for me, please. If you enjoyed this episode, please write a nice review on your podcast provider of choice. And also, why not post it on your social feeds and follow my podcast to make sure you get the next episode when it's released. And give me a splendid rating. I've forgotten that. I need to add that back in, don't I? Okay, that's all. This episode was brought to you by and it really was. I'm not making this up. It was brought by a cheese and pickle sandwich in the back of salt and vinegar crisps, all washed down with a nice cold Diet Pepsi. It was all happily consumed before I settled down in my homemade, acoustically cushioned recording emporium. Acoustic treatment update: 2 pillows, 1 cushion, 1 fleece, 1 hoodie. A fleecy hoodie at that. That is my sound deadening equipment for the day. I'm going to stop there. I think I shouldn't I? I've been Rick McAvoy. Thanks again very much for listening to my small but perfectly formed podcast, it says here, and for giving me 27-ish minutes of your valuable time. Yeah, I think that this episode will be possibly 28 minutes long. I'm saying this because I'm at 33.5 minutes now, but I've got to do some editing to get rid of all the horribleness. And that's how much horribleness there is in every recording. Take care, stay safe, cheers from me, Rick.